What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a big day for the way the market is moving, some key levels to watch for, and why it's very likely we do see some kind of bounce move, at least tomorrow, in my personal opinion, based off a very interesting pattern I'm going to show you and some key technical features. Just know that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or use my QR code right over here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000 or more, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia plus a $100 cash reward. Deposits $10,000 or more to get $300 worth of Nvidia plus $100, or deposits $50,000 or more to get $1,000 of free Nvidia stock plus $100 for free. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. So please use my link down below to sign up. Anyways, as far as the market is going, I just want to mention that we've been on this very, very strong uptrend on SPY on the daily time frame, and on the 4-hour, what you'll see is that we're on an uptrend still. We're technically making higher highs and higher lows. Now, we've been bouncing off this yellow line, the 50 EMA here and here, and we did come below it one time only to bounce back up, and since then we've been holding either the yellow line or near the green line as our supports, our 20 and 50 EMAs. So tomorrow, if SPY holds 670, if we could hold 670, I think we bounce and try to get back up to all-time highs. If we can't hold 670 tomorrow, then we're going to be looking for a dump back down towards 668. So I'll be watching that very closely. Look at this week. We've been stuck and sandwiched between our support zone around 668 to 670 and our resistances around 673 to 674. So in the 673 zone, we like to reject, and around 668 to 670, we like to get bought back up. We've been doing that for the whole week. So we're at support. We should try to bounce here, but if we do bounce and hit resistance, will we turn back down again and just trade sideways? I'll be watching that very closely. The triple Q, however, is looking more solid than SPY. We got a very, very nice bounce off this 20 EMA, and this might try to push hard going into tomorrow if we hold support. So there is most definitely potential. Also, I see another pattern on the daily time frame. So ever since the month of August started, almost every single week, Thursday and Friday have been opposite days. There was one exception. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by this. So, for example, go back to August 7th. We had a red Thursday, then the Friday right after on August 8th was green. The next week we had a green Thursday, red Friday. The next week, which was August 21st, we had a red Thursday, green Friday. Okay, the next week, same thing, green Thursday, red Friday. And then when we get to September, we had Thursday, September 11th was green, and then Friday, September 12th was red. Go another week out, and I think this is where the exception happened. We had 2 green days in a row. We actually had a sideways day on Thursday, September 18th, and then on September 19th, we were green. But then again, the pattern continued after that. So that was the one exception, 2 green days in a row on Thursday and Friday. But ever since September 19th, the pattern continues again. So, for example, we dipped on Thursday, September 25th, then we bounced on Friday, September 26th. Okay, on Thursday, October 2nd, we were green. Friday, we ended up closing in the red last week. So this week, Thursday is red. That does imply we might be getting a green day tomorrow if we hold some key support, if this pattern continues. And once again, since August started, every single week we had opposite days on Thursdays and Fridays, except for only 1 week in September. That was I think 3 weeks ago. There was one exception. Besides that, every single week they're opposite days. That could be indicative of a strong possibility of us having a red Thursday today and a green Friday tomorrow for some kind of bounce. There is a higher probability, in my opinion, based off that pattern. Now, why might the market bounce? Well, here's the thing about SPY that I want to just call out. When you go to the 30 minutes time frame, every time we dip between 4 and 5.5 points since October started, we get bought back up. Okay, so right here, we went from 670, we came down to 666, then we bounced 672. From 672, we dropped 4 points, then we bounced back up. From 673, we dumped to about 668. That's 5 points down. We bounced back up. Today, we dropped from 674 all the way down to 669. That's 4 points. and then we might just get bought back up. We also have an inverse head and shoulders like pattern on the 30 minutes time frame. So looking at the 30 minutes, there's an inverse head and shoulders. The 4-hour is showing that we're holding support at the 20 EMA, which could be a sign we're about to bounce. And then the daily time frame has that pattern where, once again, when we be red on Thursdays, we tend to be green on Fridays and vice versa. That happened every single week since August, except for 1 week in September. So that is another very, very good sign we're about to bounce. So I'm going to talk more about the technicals in just a couple of minutes, but let's now break down something else that's very interesting. For tomorrow, it's going to be Friday, October 10th, 2025. Now, in the morning, we have one Fed speaker, and then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, expect some volatility as we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports and the 5-year inflationary expectations data. Now, typically, this data does not cause that much volatility, but here's the thing. Because of the government shutdown, we're not getting any major data except for like the FOMC minutes and some data from the Fed. We're not getting the unemployment numbers. We're not getting the payrolls numbers. We're missing a lot of data. So I think that when data like this comes out, we do tend to get higher volatility than usual now. And there's a good chance we're going to look for a big move at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I think there might be a big move coming at 10 a.m. So we'll see what that leads to. So keep that in mind. After that, we have more Fed speakers, but that's pretty much it for now. I do expect some volatility at 10 a.m. Now, there's currently a 94.6% chance we get some kind of cut by the Fed. The market still looks very optimistic. Jerome Powell, he sort of gave a speech today. It was pre-recorded, and he just gave the opening remarks at the banking committee conference. It wasn't really too serious. He didn't really say much. And like I said before, there's a lot of like nothingness in the markets. We're not getting too much major data. We're not seeing anything too crazy that's going on. The government is shut down, and the market just continues to rally as a result. Every time we dip, we just get bought back up. For earnings, there's literally nothing coming out for tomorrow. And once again, I think this is like the last quiet earnings week. And then next week, we should be starting the big bank earnings by the end of the week. So keep that in mind. The market's also more neutral. We're not necessarily at fear, which shows we could still bounce. Momentum is at neutral. And then we also have the put to call option ratio at extreme greed. The VIX also remains neutral. So there's not really a whole lot that's going on. So with that being said, let's just focus on the technicals. I just want to focus on technical analysis mainly in this video. It's very simple. If you're a bear, okay, you want to see SPY fail at 670 and fail to hold above that for 4 hours. On the 4-hour close of 670 fails us, I think we dip towards 667.3. So that's the bearish case. That's basically plan B in case we end up getting a rejection. Plan A, however, is that if we hold 670, I think we rebound for 673 to 674. And then we'll see if we reject off that again, because I just want to mention that SPY is basically range bound right now. So since the week started, ever since like last Thursday, every time SPY is at 668 to 670, we like to bounce. Every time we're in the 673s, we like to reject. We've been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for over a week now, and we're kind of stuck. But what is very good is that we're holding the 20 EMA. See the 20 EMA, the green line, it's holding so far. So as long as we're above this tomorrow, I think we bounce, and I do lean in favor of a bounce as the most likely possibility based off the factors I just called out. So what's my prediction for tomorrow? I think that tomorrow, either right before or maybe after this data comes out, we should be looking for an attempt to bounce for 673 to 674. But then once we test this, I can't guarantee that we're just going to break past this resistance. It's going to be very tough. And we could kind of turn back down and just trade kind of sideways in this range. But most likely we should be getting a green close. That's what I think about SPY. So we'll see how high we go and if there's any catalysts that come out. As of right now, there's just not really much. Like I said before, there's lots of nothingness in the markets. Now for the triple Q, check this out. When you go to the daily time frame, we had a decent close. We dipped quite a bit. We rallied, came down and bounced again, and this may continue heading into tomorrow as we're holding key support. The daily's holding up decently, right? It's not just about the candle pattern. It's also about the structure. Check out this structure. We dipped to 589. We bounced, came down a bit. We bounced, came down a bit. We bounced, came down. We bounced. Even today, we came down just a little bit and we started to bounce again. Looks bullish to me. If you want to be a bear, you want to see us lose the low of the day at 607. If 607 fails us, we're dipping to 603. But as long as 607 holds, we may consolidate in the morning, then eventually attempt all-time highs. I think the QQQ is going to go for new all-time highs tomorrow. I think we're going to be testing all-time highs. We're looking for a bounce from here. We look bouncy. We look bullish. The daily's holding up well. So I think SPY and the QQQ favor upside for tomorrow. On the IWM, we're kind of like in the middle. If we end up losing 243.8, we could be dumping back down towards 243 flat. If we break and hold above 245.36, we're looking for a bounce for 247. My gut tells me this might be bouncing for 247. Then we'll see what happens after that. On ES, if we end up losing 67.62, we're looking for a dump back down to 67.50. If we break 67.82, we're looking for a bounce back up to 6800. We're going back and forth like this. As you could tell, when we dip back down towards 67.50, we're bouncing. As we hit 6800, we like to reject. And we're going back and forth and back and forth. So because we're holding the support, we could be trying to rebound back up to 6800. If we break 67.82, we're going to be looking for an attempt for 6800. We'll see what happens after that. But overall, there is potential to go higher, but we need to hold above 67.82. If we hold it, I think 6800 is coming again for ES for tomorrow. Then we'll see if it rejects off that, but there should be some upside. NQ, just like the QQQ, is looking stronger than the S&P 500, than ES and the others, because we're bouncing every time we're dipping. So if we lose, just hypothetically, if we lose 25,208, we could be dipping to 25,080 flat for a big move down. But right now we're holding this green line. We keep bouncing off the green line. This suggests we're going to be continuing to go to new all-time highs to 25,400. There's a good chance we go higher tomorrow. Bitcoin is a little bit weak here. It did dip with the markets as we have sort of like a head and shoulders like pattern, but we could still try to revisit these levels because we kind of like push to the level, come down, push back to it, come down, and then we're trying to bounce. We formed a wick here and we're holding above our 50 EMA, which implies we could be looking for 122,293 tomorrow or above for a temporary bounce. Tesla's trying to bounce. I do think it might be going a little bit higher. I think we have an inverse head and shoulders. Let me just double check this on the 30-minute time frame. So it kind of looks like this. You could also argue that we have like a double bottom, but Tesla has been a little bit lackluster as just a new probe against them that's coming out from the NHTSA. There's an investigation on about 2.9 million Tesla vehicles due to violations in traffic laws by their FSD, according to the report. So with the investigation going on, it's not the best. We could still come down a bit towards like the low 430s, but I'm going to be looking for an attempt to get back up to 440 on Tesla just temporarily for a small bounce. I still think we could kind of like dip here, then bounce back up to 440 temporarily. But I do want to warn you to be careful with Tesla because even if we do bounce to 440, when you really zoom out, there's a giant head and shoulders forming right here. Right, there's a left shoulder, head and right shoulder that could be forming. Not a guarantee, but it's a possibility that could still lead to further downside 1 month outs to fill that gap at 395. So we might bounce for 438 to 440 for the short term, but for the medium term, for like a month out, I would still be very careful with the stock as we have this bearish structure for now, at least for the time being. For Nvda, there is a gap to fill and we're starting to reject a bit. Are we about to dip a little bit on Nvidia and then bounce? Well, the gap is not that far. It's only about 2 to 3 points away. So even if Nvidia kind of like comes down, retests either our 50 EMA or even comes down to fill this gap, we could still bounce near 190 and continue to recover. We're still technically bullish. As you could tell, we're making higher highs and higher lows. A small dip by about 2 to 3 points could come and then we should bounce afterwards. So just be ready for that just in case. We might retest this resistance becoming support right here. A 2 to 3 point dip and then a bounce could be coming to Nvidia. For Appl, I think we might try to bounce. We need to hold 253.8. If we hold this, we're going to bounce back up to 256. If we don't hold 253.8 on the 4-hour close tomorrow, we're going to be dipping lower. I'm hoping we hold this and try to push back up to 256. There's a good chance we try to do that. Netflix looks more bullish. Now, if we lose 1200, we're going to turn more bearish, but we're going to be testing resistance at 1234. If we break this, we're looking for 1250. I see upside potential. On MSTR, we're on a bit of a downtrend, but what's good is that we are forming a falling wedge, and these typically do lead to upside. So I'm going to see how well this holds up and may continue to downtrend a little bit more. There is support right here around 313 and also at 310. Could dip a little bit more towards 313 before it tries to break out for 330 all over again. Celsius is on a very, very nice uptrend. So long as we don't lose 61.25, we're going to be favoring 66. Still looks strong to me. Supermicro's following Nvidia. It might retest 55.6 to 56 tomorrow. Just like this, then we should be looking for a bounce and a push back up towards the 60s. Palantir looks more bullish. We're making higher lows here. As long as we don't lose 182.5, we're going to be favoring consolidation and a push for 188. For Rivian, we're on a bit of a downtrend. If we end up losing, or if we break 13.44, we're looking for a push for 13.83. But if we lose 12.7, we're looking for a dip back down. So I'm favoring 13.44 as our resistance. SoFi, it basically has a nice looking accumulation. If we lose 27.5, we're looking for a dump, but as long as we hold the support, we're looking for an attempt back up towards that 29.5 area. AMD is on a very, very nice uptrend. Now, if we end up losing at 213, we're looking for a dump, but there's no sign of that yet. We might retest this resistance becoming support around 228 and then 225, and then we'll see if it bounces there. So there might be a small dip coming, but then it could bounce again. ARM remains bullish, favoring 175. PayPal is favoring essentially 76.5 or above. Coinbase might retest 378, and we got to bounce off that, so it might be coming down just a little bit. We got to bounce off 378 to continue to bounce. If we lose this, we could be dipping back down to about 366, so I want to see 378 hold. Look for a dip and a bounce. Amazon remains bullish. There's still this imbalance over here. It could retest 225 before it tries to bounce and continue to uptrend. Still looks bullish to me with the triple bottom. It still looks quite bullish. Could retest 226 to 225 before it bounces and pushes for 230. Meta looks more bullish as long as 730 does not fail. So we're looking for essentially 740 near the 200 EMA. On Google, we have a nice looking 240 support. As long as that holds, we're going to be looking for an attempt for 244. And then for Microsoft, if we end up losing 522 and if we dump off that, not going to be a good sign. But as long as this holds, we're looking for an attempt back up towards 524. Oracle might be dipping back down towards 293, and we'll see if we bounce. 293 to 290 could be tested before we see a nice bounce attempt, so I think there's upside potential. DJT is consolidating. We're going to see if we get back up above 17.25. The VIX, as we hit 17, we like to reject, but it does like to bounce near 16 or so. So it could dip a little bit more. The low 16s could be coming. Then we'll see if it bounces. If not, it might be dipping a bit more. So I do see a little bit more downside. Then we'll see if it bounces. That could be indicative of the market bouncing temporarily. For the dollar index, there is a resistance right here around 99.5. If it doesn't hold, we could return back down to like 99.25. That could be another sign we're going to be bullish. So for now, if we hold support on SPY and the QQQ, we're going to be favoring an attempt for all-time highs again tomorrow. Then we'll see if we reject near the all-time highs on both SPY and the QQQ. But nonetheless, the charts still look bullish. So the best thing I can really tell you is just follow the trend in front of you. Be very unbiased with your trades and be very patient. The market is very tricky. It has a lot of chop moments, and there's a lot of moments that are just designed to trick retail. So be very careful in trying to trade and be very patient with the way you look at things. Follow the trend, guys. The trend is your friend. Be very patient, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another update. Until then, have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world, and I'll be back very soon with another updates tomorrow morning. Thank you for listening, guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, and peace out.